Good morning. We have come to the Unit 5, Lesson 1 about the meaning and importance of controlling. Any manager or leader eventually will have to ensure that he has a better controlling process in place, because resources are obtained, human resources are employed, and technology is bought and inserted into the system and installed. All these things will work only provided you have a better controlling mechanism. So, controlling is the key of the functions of management, and any entrepreneur, any leader, any business organization will have to have an excellent controlling mechanism. That is the deciding factor for the profitability or achievement of goals set by the organization for progress or evolution or whatever you call it. The objectives of this session would be to know about the meaning and importance of controlling, what are the steps involved in controlling, what is the process looks like for controlling mechanism, and what involves in controlling, which includes planning. How do we plan a control kind of a system? So, these are all the things we are going to learn today. ELF breach mentioned that controlling is checking current performance against the predetermined standards contained in the plans, which means you have got plans with a view to ensure adequate progress and satisfactory performance. Very comprehensive definition. James and Stoner added one more perspective. He says that controlling is the process of ensuring actual activities conform to the planned activities. Here is a different perspective he mentioned about it. You have planned certain activities, whatever activities you are actually doing must conform to the planned activities. Kunj and O'Donnell, they have given another dimension to the controlling. It says managerial control implies measurement of accomplishment against the standard and the correction of deviations to ensure attainment of objectives according to the plans. So, there is a measurement involved in this definition. So, you need to set standards, measure performance, compare performance, take correction actions, again set standards. This is how controlling cycle works. Let us understand some of the features of controlling, because it is important. Why should we control? Controlling is not policing. Remember one thing, policing is different. Policing is finding out the probability of conducting or committing a crime, but controlling is entirely different. Controlling is ensuring the achievement of goals and identifying the deviations, taking the corrective steps. So, it also involves certain things which are very critical for the organization. What are they? Proper utilization of resources and minimizing the deviations. This is possible only with the corrective actions. A manager will analyze the task of the subordinates and increase the overall efficiency of the work. In control process, every manager has to perform and control various functions in the organization. Okay. Manager in the organization, their nature, scope and limit of control is different compared to the level of the manager. For example, a manager in grade 1 is the topmost in the grading, will have a better control, better scope. Manager 2, grade 2 will have a less control, scope will be limited. Thus, a grade wise control scope and control parameters will be inducted into the control mechanism, for the simple reason that everybody cannot control everything. Controlling also requires a collective concerted effort. Everybody will have to do controlling at their own ends. Control is a regular exercise with a plan of action, where it will take sometimes a month, sometimes 2 months, sometimes year, because certain things cannot be controlled. You have to put so many efforts and to ensure, for example, a product is giving a defect, but of course there are customers who will be able to accept that product with less cost, but you need to ensure that your product is not having any defect, so that you can sell at a premium cost, but it might take some time. So, it takes sometimes the controlling of the defect might take a month, a year, or sometimes you need to acquire a new technology, install a new machine and do that. Continuous changes are happening in the social media, legal frameworks, political and technology environment. To survive in the market, organizations need to adopt changes suitably. Control is a management function that helps the managers to respond to these changes whenever it is required. How do you control a legal framework? You cannot control, but what you can do is that you can control your processes not to deviate the legal framework recently changed, or a new legislation has come saying that some of the products cannot be sold in some of the areas, but you are selling them. How do you change that? How do you control the profitability and things like that? So, which means you need to look for other areas where you can sell that commodity, which was banned in one particular area, which may be acceptable, or you need to entirely change the portfolio of your products so that you remain selling your products. Control has to be a regular exercise to achieve the long and short term goals of the organization, where individuals work as a team members, expand their efforts to achieve the organizational goals. Control is the exercise on cost control, quality, resources optimization or resources wastage. Sometimes all these things, including the productivity of the employees, will come under a controlling function. There are techniques for controlling. Traditional techniques are there, modern techniques are there, but let us understand before getting into the controlling techniques. Controlling is a managerial responsibility. You cannot say that I will not be able to control, I will only do the work. No, you have to do the work, at the same time ensure that certain controls are employed without any deviation. Needed to deal with psychological pressure. Sometimes what happens is, in a typical human resource intensive organizations, where human beings get into conflicting situations. Some people like somebody and somebody does not like some people. There are various situations occurring in that organization. So, in that case, what you need to do is that you have to create a work culture which accepts the conflicts. Let people disagree, but they have to agree to certain things which are prescribed by the organization to control certain things. If somebody is saying that you do not shout in the office, yes, it is a control mechanism, because when you shout, it is going to rupture the entire atmosphere, entire relationship. So, shouting is not acceptable in any organization. Okay. You have to say what you wanted to say in a manner which is not going to hurt the people. So, a controlling mechanism is one that will ensure that every employee is trained to express his emotions in a manner which is acceptable. So, where is the control mechanism here? Control mechanism is a training process. We train employees to express their displeasure, express their dissatisfaction, express, or sometimes we may even say that something wrong is happening. So, we have got a policy called whistleblower. A whistleblower policy is a controlling mechanism, where everybody can have the right to talk about what is happening in the organization which is wrong. So, a whistleblower policy is a controlling mechanism to ensure that you get the feedback about what is happening. If there are any resources which are abused, which are taken away, stolen, or which are being sold in a very unethical manner, then you need to have this kind of a policy to ensure that such things are not happening or stopped or avenues are closed. What are the traditional techniques of controlling? People are used to say that, for example, a person is working, supervisor generally will be watching how people are working. That is personal observation, okay? And you have a data. The data gives you some sort of information, and you do the analysis of the statistical data available and come to some conclusions, saying that percentage increase, okay, number of deviations, or you may even say that in a year this is the productivity last year and currently this is the productivity, everything will be done, and you have reports and you have some analysis also about the reports. You have got operational audit. Operational audit refers to how much power was consumed, okay, how much time was down with maintenance, and how much fuel, how many spare parts were utilized, which means cost of maintenance, okay, and loss of productive hours. All these things are nothing but operational audit. And you will also do some costing. For example, for producing one particular item, what is the cost involved in that, okay, right from power and capital employed, everything put together, how much is the costing for that product. And you will also say break even analysis. Break even analysis is nothing but at what point you are breaking even. I mean to say your expenditure and the income is same, which means you are neither incurring losses nor getting the profits. You are just meeting the cost of production, which means it is a break even point from where organizations will have to grow to get the profits. If the break even point is not achieved, then you are incurring losses. You have a budgetary control. You have budgeted 400 rupees for spending on some item, but you have actually incurred only 350 rupees. 50 rupees you have saved because of better negotiation. So, that is how you are actually adding to the profit. So, though you have opted for spending 400 rupees, you ended up spending only 350 rupees, you are adding it to the bottom line. That is how budgetary controls will also help. Or in other words, you ended up spending 500 rupees, which is you have exceeded the budgetary allocation, and it might lead to incurring losses. Next, if you look at the modern techniques of controlling in organizations which have adopted modern technology, sophisticated softwares, manpower, well trained, what they look at is that return on investment. It can be investment on anything for that matter, machinery, technology, softwares, quality systems, human resources, anything you have invested, it has to give some return. How much is the return on investment? You have come to a conclusion by investing in that, before investing itself, that this is going to give a return on investment of okay, for example, you have given a investment of 100 rupees. The return on investment will be every month it is giving 10 rupees, which means by end of 10th month you have recovered your investment, you have also recovered a profit of 100 rupees. That is where you will say that you are going to further invest, and you will say responsibility account. For every account, it can be heads of accounts, okay, you have fixed some accountability, which means expenditure, fuels, power, maintenance, spare part, and store, maintenance of the store. And suppose if you keep one particular item in the store, that item is occupying space, okay, unnecessarily that space is not being used because that item is not moving out from there. So, there are non-moving items. If you accumulate non-moving items, optimum utilization of the store is not going to happen. So, these are all various accountabilities you fix. Program evaluation and review technique. You have an evaluation process. It will be giving you a periodic information about what is happening in the organization. In the store, for example, if you go back to the store, how many are non-moving items, how many are slow moving items, how many are quick moving items, you identify that one. Accordingly, you allocate the space for them. If the non-moving item is going to be remaining for some more time, can you move it to somewhere else where that can be kept safely, or can you dispose it off? Is it worth disposing? These are all the decisions you have to take. Critical path method. Critical path method is very important for technology organizations, where they will say that there is a way which is very critical for the business. In that way, the organization function. Say for example, there are 5 clients from Europe, 5 clients from North America, 5 clients from Australia. Okay. Out of all the 5 clients, okay, there is one client in Australia who gives more revenue for you. The kind of services you provide to that customer shall not be disturbed, because if you disturb them, your revenue is going to be. So, what is the critical path in that? The critical path in that is that your relationship, your service providing, your sustaining the service deliveries are very important for retaining that client who is giving you more revenue. Okay. So, that is what is called out of all the customers, Australian client, he is a very business critical person. So, I must pay more attention to that. It does not mean that you need not pay attention to other people. You may also have to do one more thing. Suppose Australian client stopped giving you business. Have you developed, have you given confidence to the clients in Europe, clients in North America? Which means you cannot just rely only on one client. You need to ensure that you are getting more clients, new clients, or existing clients relationships are enhanced and promises are fulfilled. Thereby you develop a kind of a business relationship which is very vibrant. So, it is not easy to run a business. To run a business, you need to have so many control mechanisms. So, management information system, MIS they call it, is giving you snapshots of what is happening in each functional area, and you will have management review meetings. Okay. You have management audit, total quality management, zero based budgeting, which is you do not have anything, you budget afresh. Okay. And you will say that you have a excellent budgetary control mechanisms, ensuring that you are not over budgeting or under budgeting. So, that the most essential feature in our organizations is availability of money, cash flow. Cash flows should not be disturbed. Okay. And you have got Six Sigma, which is a quality system where you will be ensuring that all your finished products or all your services are having absolutely flawless execution, and at least 6 million repetitions will be flawless. After 6 million repetitions, you may have something like a small deviation, which means you are controlling the deviations to a larger extent. And you have human resource accounting, how many people are producing, what kind of productivity, what kind of value they are generating. Okay. You have a performance budgeting, and you have a social audit. Social audit is nothing but how much you are impacting the society in terms of environment, in terms of paying the taxes, and in terms of CSR, corporate social responsibility, and in terms of many aspects which you took it. Okay. I spent so much time on this slide for the simple reason that controlling is not a simple function. It is a very complex, very planned function. Okay. What are the steps in controlling? First of all, you have to understand that you have to set a standard which is measurable, which is practical, which is feasible. Okay. So that you control accordingly that. And when you start controlling, you have to measure the performance, how you are controlling. Okay. Whatever standards of performance are there, they shall be measurable. And people used to say that, smart performance goals: specific, measurable, attainable, result oriented, time bound. These SMART goals are going to help organizations measure the goals, find the deviations, and you have to compare the actual performance against the planned performance and find out the deviations. Determine the reason for deviation. You have to find out why deviations are occurring, and you have to take corrective actions. Corrective actions are very important, because once the deviation has occurred, and you need to ensure that the deviation does not continue further, because it is going to cause loss. It is going to cause loss of image, loss of market share, what not. So, you need to ensure that corrective actions are taken without making any further delay. Okay. Then let us understand, as I mentioned to you, SMART performance goals I mentioned. The performance standard of each task is the key for controlling. A performance standard reflects results that are expected when a job or a duty is performed satisfactorily. So, describe the accomplishment. That is what the accomplishment, not the activities. I have done this, I have done this, but what is that resulting in is important. You may list several things. Sir, every day I come at 9:30, I do this, I do that, I do this. You can say that, but at the end of the day, what is the ultimate result? What have you achieved? What have you accomplished? What have you produced? How many services you have rendered? These are all the things which are important. So, capture what, how and why. What did you do? How did you do? Why did you do? This is where a performance standard becomes a very good standard for controlling mechanism. So, you have to have action words, okay, and say for example, maintain audio visual equipment inventory for ensuring the accuracy of the equipment database through quarterly audit. Okay. When you say maintain audio visual equipment inventory, is it just physical availability? No, it is functional availability of the audio visual equipment. So, if for example, you have got camera which is not working, what is the fun of it? So, you have to ensure that a functional audio visual equipment inventory is available at all times. When you have 5 cameras, ensure that at least 4 cameras are functional. One camera may be having some problem for repair and maintenance kind of a thing. At any given point, so you have to set a standard. At any given point of time, 4 cameras are going to be operational. So, that is how you have to understand of setting the standards. They can be flexible, they are capable of changing whenever the circumstances are required. Suppose if they say that you have to have all 5 cameras functional, you have to have, there is no other go, because at any given point of time, if events are to be captured, then all 5 cameras shall be functionally operative. So, that is where you have to set your things, and sometimes 2 will do, sometimes 1 will do. Why then you will be having a question about why unnecessarily idling 4 cameras? You can rent them out. See, these are all the various permutations and combinations you have to work towards to ensure that your inventory is put to better use at all times. Performance can be a measure in terms of production, number of units, sales, that is volume, profits. Need to measure the performance that is qualitative and intangible, such as morale of the employee. You cannot measure it, but you can certainly capture on a 10-point scale where the employee is standing, because you will be eventually reducing the intangible things also into a rating scale, thereby you have some measure or a benchmark to talk about it. Okay? That is what is called setting standards of controlling. Suppose if you say that I ensure that employee morale is not less than 6 on a 10-point scale, which means you have to conduct a survey, ask questions, ask people to rate. If they have rated above 6, you are improving. If they have rated below 6, you need to improve further. There is a concern for cause. I mean to say that you are having a very serious problem. That is the reason people are not having morale. I mean to say they are not enthusiastic to work, they are not having commitment, they do not have a passion. Okay? When you say what is performance and standards, okay, performance is an action to achieve a goal. Standards are actually the benchmarks set for achieving the goals. Okay. What happens is that I have set a goal for myself that by end of this financial year, I must be able to earn, say for example, 10 lakhs of rupees after tax. If that is my goal, that is a standard. Okay. How do I perform? When I am performing monthly basis, when I set a standard of say for example 10 months time, 2 months I have already consumed without achieving anything, and I have to invariably earn 1 lakh rupees every month after tax. It is only then at the end of 10th month I will be able to earn 10 lakhs of rupees. So, performance needs to be continuously measured month on month, month on month. In 1 month if I have earned 5 lakhs, can I relax? No. What is the guarantee that other months you will not have zero in income? So, a performance has to be a consistent performance which results in continuous efforts without any deviation. So, you have to understand the objectives first. As I mentioned to you, 10 lakhs of rupees after tax is my income I have set for myself, then you have to perform accordingly. Okay? And what are the metrics for that? How do you measure that one? Suppose if I measure that number of programs that I conducted, MDPs I have conducted, number of guest lectures I have given, number of visiting faculty jobs I have done, number of consultancy assignments I have done. All these things put together will give me a sum of few rupees. Say for example, it may be 1 lakh rupees or 2 lakh rupees. But these things, when I talk about tasks, I have to have at least measures. How many tasks I have done? Each task, how much revenue it has given. I am just giving you this as an example to understand the metrics. Okay? Identify the stakeholders. Suppose if you want to achieve 1,000 crore turnover for your company, okay, who are the stakeholders involved in that? Employees, board of directors, environmental authorities, I mean government regulatory bodies, okay, and your investors. If you want to go for initial public offer to get capital for investment to enhance your capacity, so that you will be able to achieve 1,000 crore turnover. Is turnover the result? No. On the turnover, how much is your profit margin? Turnovers people can achieve, but turnover shall eventually return in, as I told you earlier, return on investment. 1,000 crores of activities you have done without a margin, which is nothing but foolishness. So, you have to at least have a 10% of the return on investment, which means for 1,000 crores you have created 100 crores of profit. Then that is reasonable. So, you have to choose a tool that will give you performance data and alert you, always raise the flags saying that you are not achieving. So, you have to have a schedule, a time schedule when you will be doing the audits, when you are getting that one, because you must have a dashboard, like just like you are driving the car. Sometimes you look at the dashboard, how much fuel is there, at what rate I am driving now. Suppose if you are driving at 120, if you find some wobbling in the car, then you just suddenly look at the speedometer. Oh, I am going at 120, then you reduce. Okay, the tires are not up to mark. So, what if the tire punctures, then you will lose the control, you get into an accident, it may result in fatality. So, you have to understand that you have to see certain dashboards, certain controlling mechanisms to see that you are driving safely. Okay. And most important thing is that in many audits, especially quality audits, there is a term which is used. It is called corrective action and preventive action. It is called CAPA, corrective action and preventive action. The auditors, after seeing all the activities, okay, they will say that you have to have CAPA. They will say set of corrective actions, okay, and they will list preventive action, corrective action and preventive action. Say for example, accident has happened. What is the corrective action and what is the preventive action? Corrective action is one that will eventually ensure that no repetition of the same accident. Accident happened because there is a leakage in the gas, which was not noticed. The gas chamber was filled with gas. Okay. Pressure built up, resulting in blowing off. Okay. There were some major injuries, minor injuries. What is the corrective action? Corrective action is that you have to ensure that leakage is prevented. I mean to say stopped, ensure that it is stopped. What is the preventive action? In spite of you have established certain control mechanisms whereby gas leakage is arrested, there can be a possibility of leakage from some other place. So, what is the preventive action? Preventive action is installing a particular device which detects gas and blows alarm. So, by seeing the alarm or a red alert, you will say that yes, there is a gas leakage. You open that one, you arrest the leakage. That is what is called preventive action. So, corrective action is taken after something has happened. Preventive action is taken before anything has happened. So, before anything has happened, which means about to happen, then you get an alert and avoid it. And it is a continuous process, something like plan, do, check, act, PDCA in quality control systems, TQM and ISO and integrated management systems. This is a very famous cycle which is employed. Okay. And managers will be always doing this one with their subordinates, giving them instructions, okay, controlling the internal and external factors for various activities, various deviations, various threats and even sometimes accidents. Planning and controlling. You have to plan first of all what is to be controlled. You have to plan what is to be controlled. Until and unless you plan, there will not be any proper control. So, you have to have a dashboard created. The dashboard must contain how much fuel you are spending, okay, what is the cost of travel, what is the cost of raw material, what is the cost of maintenance, What is the cost of compliance to various legal provisions? All these expenditure you must have one particular limit. That limit is called planning the control. If the limit is exceeding, you should alert well before it is exceeding. There is a tendency to exceed, so you stop it. So, implement plans, measure the performance, compare the actual performance. A plan without controlling mechanism does not exist. So, planning is inherently having a control mechanism. You have seen in the functions of management planning, planning invariably includes controlling. Okay. Last but not the least, for planning to happen, for control to happen, you have to have presence of mind. There is a Subhashita, Gate Shoko na kartavyo bhavishyam naiva chintayet vartamanena kalena vartayanti vichakshana. In simple terms, if I have to say, if you are worried about future, okay, or anxious about the future, and you are stuck at in the past. In the past certain mistakes have happened. You are getting carried away by these mistakes because there is so much of loss that you have incurred. So, you are either so much of worried about the mistakes happened in the past and anxious about the future because of the mistakes happening. Are they going to happen? But you never ever be in the present moment. Many people live in the past, worried about the future, but never live in the present moment. Present moment you will have vichakshana. Vichakshana is nothing but an awareness about how can I tap the present moment to the best possible manner. I mean to say that if you live in the present moment, you create a wonderful past, you pave a wonderful future. So, live in the present, enjoy the present in the present. Present means gift. There is a gift in the present moment. Enjoy that gift, and that gift will make you create a wonderful past and a great future. All the best to you. Thank you very much.